We invite you to sing along with this song if you feel it. Definitely, we invite you to groove along with it. All right? We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the mothers who breathe with the Mother Earth. We are the fathers blessed with a gentle strength. The sisters and brothers respected hand in hand. The sons and the daughters who walk upon this sacred land. And we are the ones that we've been waiting for. Sing with us. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Yeah. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Oh, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the healers who hear the voice of truth. We are the elders whose wisdom guides our youth. The searchers and seekers with wings spread into the sun. The shapers and builders whose work for peace is never done. And we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Yeah. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Oh, we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We're givers of mercy, believers in grace, singers of great beauty, and keepers of the faith. We are the sailors who've come back through the storm. We are the dreamers resting in God's arms. The dancers and lovers who move beneath the stars. The masters and teachers whose visions remind us who we are. And we are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Yeah. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. Oh, we are the ones that we've been waiting for.
Beautiful. You guys sound great. Always sound great.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all for being here. Some lopsided seating energy.
Yes,
This must
right.
be a pre-warmed section over here. Pre-warmed seats.
Yeah, that's it. I think these people, raise your hand if you're all right-handed. See that? No? A dissenter.
Yeah.
A dissenter right
That's
here.
okay. All right, well, welcome everybody who's watching us here online. We appreciate you joining us at this time and taking time out of your Sunday morning to be with us. We always like to remind you that you can hit the share button and you can go ahead and share this to your feed or your page. Let other people know that you're watching and join in on this message and this beautiful experience we're having here today.
Right. Tell all your friends about it because this message stays on our website all day long. So you can, when you get done, you can say, hey, let me text my friends. That was a good talk. I need her to hear this.
I'm going to move this because I just foresee someone going to take a step down these stairs
I know.
and not knowing it's there. So is that okay with everyone? Does that feel okay? Does the right side energy of the room feel okay with this left side plant happening here?
I think we have to move Steve over to that side because he's the only left-hander over there.
There's something about that. He's balancing the force. All right, so I do want to remind you that tomorrow evening, Monday evening, I'm still doing my Monday meditation at 5:30 p.m. We will be downstairs in the meditation room, so that is open in person. We've got the pillows spaced out, so you know the spacing as you come into that situation. Love to have you there. What else? Also, I believe I'm speaking next Sunday, covering for Syntysche, so I'll be speaking next Sunday. And I now have a podcast that's up on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Podcast. Also on our website as well. So I'm doing that with a friend of mine named Melissa Guzman, who was my board president at University of Las Vegas when I was out there, and she's a longtime friend of mine that I worked with for many years. So we're now doing a podcast together, so you can actually find that. It's called Less Serious, and you'll see us up on there. So we'd love to have you join us for that, and like us and follow us and do all that good stuff.
Well, it's great that you finally brought that, that stuff in, because we're moving toward this whole new experience.
Yeah.
Some point, this coronavirus thing is going to be gone.
Yeah.
And we're all going to be really communicating on a much higher, more beautiful level.
Yeah.
And hopefully less serious. It's got to be a less
serious. That's what we got to do. Start taking ourselves a little less serious. Stop arguing so less serious. Let's just realize we're all wrong. And then go into that conversation. It's a much easier conversation to know that we're all wrong. All right? Okay. Let's
You're
get
going to love
moving
this
on.
talk.
Good morning, everyone. Just want to tell you about a few upcoming events we've got going on here at Unity of Boulder. This week, we're having a concert on this stage this Thursday at 7 p.m. It's online, it's free, but we are asking for a donation, but the donation isn't to us. This concert's actually being put on by a group called HOPE, and HOPE stands for Homelessness Outreach Providing Encouragement. And this is a group, it's a local nonprofit group that provides outreach to homeless people, and their real goal is to try and get people back on their feet, back into the world, and back into a happier situation. It's a fantastic group. We've been loving working with them. The concerts they've been bringing to our stage have been so much fun. This week, it's going to be a brass quintet featuring members of Longmont Symphony Orchestra. We're going to be sending out an email to our entire congregation this week that'll have a link, and all you have to do is click on the link. It'll take you right into the concert. So please come check that out, and it'll be followed by a talk on mental health and the social stigma surrounding it and the discrimination that comes with it. So stick around for that. They've had wonderful speakers that follow the concerts. They just ask for a donation if you can, so check that out. We want to let everyone know that our Sunday school, our Uniteens, and our YOU for all of our children are meeting on Sundays at our 11 a.m. services. So if you have any kids that have been wanting to come back to Uniteens, YOU, or Sunday school, bring them on in at the 11 a.m. We'd love to have them. And also, Syntysche is hosting her women's group this week where they're discussing the book Living in 5D. There are only a few spots left, so please call us this week or send us an email if you'd like a spot for that. That's this Thursday at 6 p.m. All right, thank you. This goes back here.
Good morning. Let's take a moment now for prayer. Today, let us remember that the fundamental nature of the universe is love. It is this love that makes the sun shine, the flowers grow, and our hearts beat. And let us remember that we are loved, not for what we do, but for who we are. We are loved, not for what we do, but who we are as sons and daughters of Spirit. So relax into that love right now. Just breathe in that love, that unconditional love. Relax into that caring, loving space. And in return, let us also remember to love others unconditionally. For we love others not because of what they do, because of who they are. Not because of what they do or don't do, because of who they are. For they, all of us, are sons and daughters of Spirit. So let us, in this moment, send love to those around us, our neighbors, and to all of humanity. Just feel and see love pouring from your heart out into all people, all life. Let us also remember to love the world unconditionally. For we love the world not because of what it does or doesn't do, because of what it is. Not because what the world does or doesn't do or how restricted it is, but we love the world for what it is. It is our beautiful and wondrous home. So let us, again, from your heart, send love out into this planet, into this earth, into the entire system. Let us be channels of that love. For we know that it is in giving that we receive. Thank you, Spirit, for the love that is in our hearts, that is in all of humanity, and in this world. Thank you for all your infinite blessings. And to this we say, Amen.
So we invite you to sing this chorus along with us. You are the light of love. I am the light of love. You are the light. I am the light. We are the light of love. You are the light of peace. I am the light of peace. You are the light. I am the light. We are the light of peace. You are the light of joy. I am the light of joy. You are the light. I am the light. We are the light of joy. You are the light of hope. I am the light of hope. You are the light. I am the light. We are the light of hope. We'll sing about love again. You are the light of love. I am the light of love. You are the light. I am the light. We are the light of love. You are the light. I am the light. We
Thank you, Dinah and Erna, and that beautiful way to start. Boy, we miss Dinah's voice with Erna. That is just, and Sierra usually sings with them, and I miss her voice very much too. You know, it's nice to see people starting to feel more comfortable with coming into the building, and I totally understand people not being comfortable too. It's just, you know, it's a choice, and we're in that state right now. So my talk today, the title is Lost and Found. And I think that many of you that have been following the services that I've been giving since COVID started, you would recognize that I'm going through my own kind of another dark night of the soul, which I think many of us have been. Just having everything kind of, the normalcy of life being just stripped away and trying to find a way to navigate through it and still maintain joy and healthfulness and, you know, passion for life and all those things that I feel kind of swept aside for me a little bit. And it was a slow process because of the fact that I've always had to, you know, still meet with people and help them navigate through things. So it's slower for me to kind of unfold that which is supposed to be growing in my own personal journey, because I'm doing two roles where I have to be in a place where I'm all-knowing, or at least a conduit of an energy that is of all-knowing to help people find that all-knowing within themselves, while I'm still navigating in my own human experience as well as my spiritual. And last week I was talking about how this has been a phase where we've all had to learn to surrender and let go of the picture of what we want the outcomes of life to be. If anything, that's been the biggest struggle for everyone that I've talked to. And learning how to dissolve the idea that there's even a new normal, right? That's another thing. I want to know what the new normal is, and that also hasn't appeared, and we are not going to have that probably for a while. So how do we sit in that presence of just now with the peace and the love and feeling that love of God and staying in our healthfulness and staying in our joy and staying in the reflection of the beauty that is love, right? So Jesus taught that man lives in two worlds, not in succession, but concurrently. He lives in the world of appearances, the three-dimensional world of form and shape of time and space. The world where we have fluctuating experiences of sickness and health, of peace and war, of harmony and chaos. But man also lives in the spiritual world as a spiritual being. And that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to be talking about today about making a vision on what is the vision that you'd like to create to dissipate the things that you've been holding in your mind's eye that are creating more of the outcomes that you don't want any more of. Because we haven't lost our spiritual control. We've lost the outer world control. We've lost control over what some things we can and can't do. We can't take our kids to pools. We can't do the things that, you know, got their giggles out, so they're all pent up and around us while we're pent up and around ourselves, and our marriages are facing it. And, you know, it's this trickle effect that it's just a vibration of uncomfortableness. So how do we create a vision of the outpicturing of what we do want, right? If we're, you know, facing financial issues during this time, which many people are, or we're facing issues with our relationships, or we're having issues with our health. You know, my goal for this sermon today is to put ourselves back in the awareness that there is a greater power, there is a greater God, and if there's any time for us to be open to feel that deep love of God in our beings and stop being so hard on ourselves to try to be perfect going through these uncharted territories that we all collectively are going through, and being a little bit more compassionate for ourselves so that we can be a little bit more compassionate for others that may not be agreeing with us on how we are navigating this. That's another thing. That's the other divide, is we don't agree with each other on how we are navigating this. And yet we see Black Lives Matters, and we see, women's rights on the forefront, and we see, our politics, and we see all these things that are asking for equality and universal acceptance. But on the small levels of like masks and being forced by governments and this kind of thing is taking the literal peace out of people and dividing best friendships of lifetimes. Who's to say who is right? We can be pretty sure we're right, but is it more important to be right than to be peaceful? That's what my dad always would say to us as little kids when we were fighting and bickering about whatever little thing we were bickering about. We wanted to make sure that my dad understood that we were the right one about the person that stole the cookie out of the cookie jar or whatever. And in the end, he made it real clear that's not the most important thing in life. To be a conduit of Spirit's love is to accept even the things that you don't agree with in other people. You can make your choices. You can live what you've chosen. But that doesn't mean that you're here to tell other people what they have chosen is incorrect. So it's finding power in the limbo and the not knowing. I think this has been kind of the current of my sermons for 3 months. It's like, how do you say the same thing a different way for 5 months? You know what I mean? It's not like I can come up here and we're just going to do an abundance talk and I can just do, law of attraction and we'll just avoid what's going on in the world. It just doesn't work that way because there's too much going on in the world, even though I'm pretty close to just probably going on to a prosperity day where we avoid everything that's happening in the world. But reimagining a world, a life that has not been explored yet. See, that's something that is exciting. Reimagining a world that has not been explored yet and using this time to be excited instead of drained and feeling a sense of hopelessness. Getting excited that we know when things are taken away that we can always look for the good that is coming. Instead of something's taken away and the fear that something else could get taken away and the fear that something else, and so then we find ourselves in these circumstantial depressions. Not clinical, circumstantial. I think many of us are walking around in kind of a low-grade depression because it's all so overwhelming unless you completely avoid TV. You stay off Facebook and you stay away from the bickering that's going on there. The question whether the kids are going back to school or not, that's been like living and watching emails, like what's actually going to happen with this? And just relaxing into what is. So I'm going to take us down a few different areas, but I personally have been kind of standing. I talk about this in my prosperity class. There's an area in the Prosperity Secrets of the Bible that says that when you're standing still in stagnating water, like you're standing still because you cannot move forward, because there's too much fear, or there's too much stuff from the past that have told you not to move forward, or you just mentally or physically or spiritually can't move forward because you've hit your limit, right? And so then we stand because we don't want to go backwards and we're trying to go forwards, but we don't have the tools. We don't know how to navigate, how to move out of this stagnating water. That's kind of the feeling that I've felt in my being. I know how to do my work. I know how to parent my kids, but something in me was becoming rigid and locked and stuck. And it has been affecting my health. I have really not been feeling like myself for months. And I was still pushing through it and saying, it's just COVID. I'm just tired. I just don't feel great. I'm taking a nap every day, which is really, really odd. And at my age, that is strange, but I was just accepting that was part of it. And then I'm still taking on all the piles of counseling that I'm doing, and yet I know that I'm not feeling great and I'm not making boundaries around what I can and cannot do. And so a few weeks ago, about last week-ish, I've been around my kids, and they're constantly asking me, are you okay? And I'm like, am I not putting on my mom mask well enough that they're all asking me how I'm doing? Like, they never ask me how I'm doing. And it's like, you okay, Mom? What's going on with you? And I'm like, okay. So I, put on cheery faces and try to make it look like everything's going okay. And it reflected back to me, am I okay? Am I okay? Why are my kids asking me if I'm okay? And I realized I am not okay. My life force was like nothing. And I've been pushing through it and pushing through it. And then I was on a walk with my daughter on Monday. And she said, I'm starting to get really concerned about you, which she doesn't live with me. And I said, what is going on? You're just not yourself. You're just not your silly self. You have a nature that always finds the funny in no matter what is going on. In the most dreadful stuff, you can still crack us up about it. You just have a way of turning it around to make the giggles happen, and you're just not doing that. And I feel like you don't know how to ask for help. That's what my 23-year-old daughter says to me. And I said, that's a really good point. I always tell people we have to be able to ask for help, but to ask for help means you have to be vulnerable enough and honest with yourself enough to know that you need help. So I left her that day, and the next morning, my phone started texting, and I was at work. And it was an old friend of mine, I won't mention the person, but somehow Arenya, my daughter, had talked to this person about her concerns about me. And this person texted me that she's hired all these different, like, acupuncturists and a healer and some different stuff for me to go to. And the person's paid for it, and I have to call these people and set an appointment, and I'm so overwhelmed by this, and I feel extremely embarrassed, and I feel vulnerable, and I feel like, oh my gosh, like my secret's out. I've been doing my meditation, I've been doing my running, I've been doing my dance classes, and something is just like amiss. And sometimes we need help. And I called Arenya, and I started crying, and I said to her, I don't feel worthy of receiving this right now. And she said, I need you to feel worthy and accept it. So I did, and I got these treatments this week that I swear, I feel like they literally healed me. I don't know how I got pulled out of the place that I am, but I feel like me. I had a few things. I got an email from somebody that's appreciating the work that I'm doing, and it was just a couple things that was like, I am going to show you that the universe is here to support you. So I guess I'm standing up here today to talk about that vision, because the day before I had that walk with Arenya, one of my best friends was supposed to be moving back here, actually, this week. And that last weekend, I got a hit that he wasn't. He had sold his place and everything. He was supposed to be showing up, and he was going to be moving to this area, and I was really looking forward to it because he's a Reiki master healer, amazing, and I knew that I was kind of waiting for him to come because I knew I needed energy work and things like that. And I got a text on Monday that he needed to talk to me, and I knew he wasn't coming. And I was okay with it. I felt a sense, because if there's anything we are really learning, is that we cannot be attached to anything right now, right? So I call him back, and he's like, feel so bad, but I found this awesome opportunity to live in the mountains, and he's going on this whole thing, and I can hear all this guilt and this shame and all this stuff coming out of him. And I said, if there is anything I can tell you, Sebastian, is that there is nothing that could disappoint me right now. It's like, can you agree with that? It doesn't feel like left and right you're looking. It's just like, if you had any attachment, it is being taken away. So it's like, I'm grateful when something happens, right? It makes us be in gratitude, and it's like, wow, I planned that, and that actually came into fruition. So that day when I said that to him, I was sitting on my chair, and I thought to myself, he sold his place, and he did all this preparation to change his life. He decided he was going to be moving. He doesn't know where he's going. He's not even sure what he wants to do with his career anymore. And he got rid of everything that has kept him in a place that he's not been that happy in for years. And then this amazing opportunity with an ashram in the mountains and this place, it's just exactly, so perfect where he landed. And it was just a person that crossed his path literally 2 days before he was supposed to be driving here, and his whole world changed where he was going to be heading. And I was sitting with that he was in a state of allowance. Not as far in terms of what he was thinking was going to happen. He was in a state of allowance, the Spirit, as he let go of these things without a plan. He had some plans and some backup stuff, but in the end, was completely free to do whatever Spirit wanted to show was this next phase for him. And I really felt it for him, and I was so happy, so happy. And it reaffirmed, oh, that's right. I have that ability too. I've been going through this tiredness and these feelings of separation and feeling alone and feeling like I have to pull this off with a smile on my face. But I've been missing the piece of being in allowance. As these things are falling away, that yes, there's room for more. There's room for healing. There's room for miracles to enter my life. And then the next day, my daughter had that conversation with me, and when I got those texts saying all these people that I'm supposed to be seeing, oh, that's the allowance. Even though it made me afraid, and it made me uncomfortable to receive, I knew, how else is Spirit going to show up in my life? I'm so booked. I am so booked that somebody would have to interrupt it and go, actually, you're going to be unbooked, and you're going to unbook yourself and love yourself enough to receive some natural medicine to fine-tune that chord. I've got a good chord going on, but it's just a little bit flat. And it needed to be tuned just that little bit. And it's amazing how little it takes to come back to balance. If you're meditating and you are running and you're in the presence, we can go back into a perfect tuning very easily. But there's so much out there to help us get to that perfect tuning. So living in Boulder around highly connected and evolved souls, people are always doing something to better themselves. Going on retreats, going from this fast to the other, this detox, this diet, this cleanse. Every day I'm hearing all of the things people are going on. But the one we don't talk about, which Joe Dispenza talks about, is fasting from negative thinking. Fasting from victimhood. Fasting from complaining. Those are just as hard to give up as alcohol and sugar. Because it is also an addiction that you have to consciously quit. When your body is no longer getting that emotional rush of your victimhood, of your complaining, the body is going to be just like an addict, breaking an addiction. It's going to want to complain. It wants to blame. It's going to bring up scenes from your past, just so the body can bring to mind the confirmed identity. And stepping into the river of change and becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts, becoming aware of your habits and your behaviors. Stepping into the river of change, you have to go from your old self to your new self. That's been the current of all my sermons, is going from the old self to the new self. But there's just so many avenues and things we have to face. So in crossing that river, biological, the neurological, the genetic, the chemical death of the old self. That's just like somebody giving up alcohol. They have to fight that thing that's rearing its head saying, you want this, you want this. The body's saying it, but your mental, if you have the will that's strong enough, will say, I don't want this anymore. It takes a powerful will. That's where will is a beautiful thing. Will can be a very dangerous part of ourselves, which is willing yourself to make other people do what you want them to do to fit in your categories of what's right or wrong and how it's all supposed to work. But will is your power center to recognize that there's a place in your consciousness that believes that you're still a victim of the past. You still are not able to forgive the past. You still are complaining about the past. You're still talking about your ex-husband. You're still talking about your childhood. And all those things are valid. And all those things are the things that are coming up for people right now. Because a lot of us have been standing in this stagnating place where it's like, it's trying to get us. It's trying to get us because we're kind of stuck. And we can't do the things that distracted ourselves. Like, all sorts of outdoorsy things and fun things that we used to do, we can't do. And those are the ways we got it out of our system so we didn't have it visit us. So when I was laying with this person that did healing work with me, and it was Reiki and Chinese medicines and acupuncture and stuff. I was laying there and I had a vision of myself while I was laying there, where I was in this very dark and eerie landscape, where I had this just kind of dreary cape on, and I was trying to walk forward, and I physically could not walk forward because something was holding on to the edges of my cape. And I was trying to see in this vision, what is holding onto the cape that I can't move forward? What is it that's sitting there? What is pulling me from moving forward? Because my nature is, even if it's just a little bit moving forward, maybe sometimes we're not taking huge steps right now, but just a little forward can keep us in a pretty centered place. And I realized that it's just the last of what is coming up from my past, that I'm not living in the image and likeness of God and remembering that I'm a perfect child of God. We weren't, I think we were told that life would be a struggle, but we thought it would be more about employment and about things of, getting your education and being able to pay for these things. And we didn't realize that there'd be so much inner turmoil through the experience of life, right? And you'd think by the time you're my age, which I won't say my age, but trust, I was sure by this age I would have had it all figured out. And every time I think that I've hit that point, that threshold, where I figured it out, boy, just wait for it to, the ground to go out from under you, because we are spiritual beings growing and growing as much as we are in allowance of growing, so that we may know the majesty of God, to experience the love of God, and at the same time, we're the ones that decide if it's bad or good, or put that kind of wording with it. Struggle doesn't have to be bad or good. It's awakening. It's growing. It's becoming more Christ conscious. So, Joe Dispenza goes on to say, so when you're observing the thought, paying attention to the thought, it means you are no longer the program. So when you recognize that you're feeling like you want to complain, or you're feeling like you want to be a victim, or you want to say that you're not able to overcome whatever it is, that you have to observe it, paying attention to the thought as if it's not you. And diving into, where does that come from that I don't believe that I can be fully whole in expression, which is abundant, healthful, happy, in love, whatever your list of things would be that you'd say that you are an abundant and happy being on this planet. It means you are no longer the program. You are taking control, and that takes will. And it takes meditating and centering into the program, because that's how you get to the circuit of your being, is in the meditation, when you've made the conscious choice that I no longer want to fill in the blanks, complain about my health, complain about my marriage, talk about something that happened when I was 6 years old. The process of self-observation allows us to modify our behavior, to do a better job in life. But it starts with not wanting to live that way anymore. So really, that's the biggest thing. Like, to bring to mind right now any area in your life that you're constantly repeating, I don't want to live this way anymore. I know we all can come up with that one, and you may have one, or you may have 10, but I've had a few in the last years I've had. And getting that acupuncture clarified some of the things that I'm no longer willing to live, and they're things that are not my best behaviors, or they're attitudes and things that I hold about things, and it's not fulfilling my heart. And it's a time for those pieces of myself to fall away. That's holding on to the cape that I'm trying to step forward. I can actually serve in life even better without this thing that I feel protects me. But that thing that I think is protecting me is actually destroying me. So for instance, a person gets a diagnosis of a debilitating disease that the doctor says is a definite death sentence. They're not sure how long, but pretty much all other people that have had this diagnosis don't last longer than a few years. All right, so when people have a situation like that type of a doctor's meeting, and usually when they're going to get a diagnosis, they know they're going in to get the diagnosis. They're sitting there in pins and needles, and they're in fear, right? But there is a subconscious, so you're in consciousness in there, but you are where all consciousness is alive, because you are in fear. You have your fight or flight going through everything. And the doctor words these in slow motion that you now have a terminal illness, and you will never forget word for word what that doctor says. And the psyche of the patient will reiterate that diagnosis over and over. They may even share it with their friends. They may share it with whoever. But an unconscious person that's just going through the paces of life will live in that diagnosis and will make sure that the out-picturing is what the doctor said, which is most all people die of this in the long term. Or no, it's not it. There it is. Unity's third of the 5 basic principles is we are co-creators of God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. We read this all the time, and it seems so simple, but it's not that simple. Because when fear has taken over, and we believe that we've lost our power, because someone outside of us or something outside of us said that we are weak. We now have this thing. We now hold on to that, and we make manifest of what somebody else put on us. In Waking Up in 5D, it says, in the process of coming from the all-knowing, we separated from that which is inseparable. It is as though we created a veil pretending that we are not God, or acting as if we don't have resources. This is like the prince who goes into the streets to experience what it would be like to be poor. Why would we do that? We incarnate to increase that which would not be increased any other way. So the question for the patient with a terrible diagnosis is, are you willing to cross the river, as Joe Dispenza is talking about? Are you willing to move through the fear and be the observer of the person that is believing in the words that someone else said to you that said you were less than perfect, holy, whole, and loved? And not create things in your life. This isn't just about physical health. Are you willing to cross the river and let it go? You giving power to the doctor or the victimhood or the past is you destroying yourselves. You giving power to that is taking your peace and your love and your happiness and your longevity away from you. And becoming an observer of, why do I want to keep reminding me of that when I have witnessed God's love in so many areas of my life? But I want to look to the one area that's broken in me. And you want to simmer in it, and you want to stay in it, and you want to percolate this dark thing that is not you. It is a piece of the fragmented part of you that believed that you were not spiritual first before human. Jesus taught that man lives in two worlds, not in succession, but concurrently. He lives in the world of appearances, the three-dimensional world of form and shape, of time and space. The world where we have fluctuating experiences of sickness and health, of peace and war, of harmony and chaos. But man also lives in a spiritual world as a spiritual being. So Jesus says, don't be mild in appraising yourself in life. You are whole, even if you're experiencing sickness. And you can be healed because you are whole. So this goes back to the visioning that I was talking about. What is the vision that you want to see in this world, in this body, in your relationships with others, with your relationship with your child? You know, when people are facing sickness or illness, they not only get the original diagnosis from a doctor, but then they make the mistake of going online to find out all of the symptoms and the long-term picture of what this is going to look like. And then before you know it, they start to have the symptom, the first symptom of it. It's validation that you now believe that the doctor is right. Sickness is an amazing way to have an opportunity to start to use your spiritual practice to overcome and show yourself that your mind does have the power over the body. But you got to get to the main circuit. You got to get there, and that's in meditation. That's sitting in nature. That's earthing with your feet on the earth. That's believing in the greater power that exists within you. And you can literally have pain in your body, and try this and visualize that pain leaving your body with everything that you have. Seeing God's love just coursing through your body wherever this pain is, and show yourself the power of God through you. And not being lazy in consciousness, but powerful in consciousness. These things come up to grow our being, to prove to us that this greater something, this greater power has always been in and through every single thing that's happened in our life, good, bad, ugly, and whatever. And nobody's exempted. If it's not sickness, it's somebody that's had a bunch of divorces. If it's not divorces, it's somebody that's had loss after loss of friendships. If it's not that, it's somebody that always loses jobs. It tends to come around the same thing for somebody, because that's the current that is there to teach you. And it also probably comes from past lifetimes, that you're healing stuff from lifetimes that might not even have to do with this lifetime. Because it lives in the subconscious. And how we crack open the subconscious to show us how to fix and overcome is meditation and silence and believing in the power that lives in and through all of your lives. There is that of you that is greater than your weakness, stronger than your fears. The four-dimensional creature that is whole even within your sickness. This is that of you that is perfect idea in the mind of God. You are simply asleep to this greater self, your innate divinity. Paul says in the Bible, "Awake thou that sleepest, that Christ may shine upon thee." And what is Christ but your own divinity? The particularization of the infinite source of life into the pattern of finite embodiment. It is a perfect pattern. It is whole. And it is you at the point of God. We'll take an offering for unity now. Oh, I gotta get a mask.
All right. Thank you, Syntysche, for another rousingly good talk. Well, remember that this whole reason we're here, this whole reason we listen to these messages, to have something stir inside us, and what's supposed to be stirring inside us is that inner awareness, that higher consciousness, but also that giver that is within us. Because as a society, we seem to be so intent on trying to hoard and to hold on to things coming into our lives, especially when we get into uncertain times like we are today. But that is the exact time, as Fillmore said, when times get difficult, you have to give more than you were giving before. If you're having a financial issue, you should be giving more than you were giving before. If you have a relationship issue, you should be giving more than you were giving before. That's the time when you still really start to give and give more, not to suppress and to go within and to close out, but to give. So that's what we're doing right now. This is a spiritual practice of giving that we're practicing right now. So I invite you to partake in that. Whether you're watching online or joining us in person, take the time to do this. We do have many ways of giving. You can text to give right there. Just text the word give to that phone number, and you can set up on the Easy Tithe app to get that going. So we won't be passing the baskets today, but we do give you this time to go ahead and do that process. So I invite you to take your gift, whether it is physical or digital or spiritual, whatever it is. Take it in the palm of your hands. Just visualize it there with me right now. See it surrounded in light. See it surrounded in that warmth and that love of that true giving spirit. And let's bless it with this offering statement, if you'll say it with me. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive because I give. Thank you.
There was a time I believed life was over for me. There was a time I believed my life was over. I feel strong today, thanks to your help. I'll find my way, and I too will lend you a hand when you need one. Sometimes I get so down, I feel like this is the end. Like there's no way in hell I can get over this mountain. The sun has come out beyond the shadow of my doubt. I am walking on this earth stronger than ever. There was a time I believed there'd be no love for me. There was a time I believed there'd be no loving. I feel love today, thanks to your help. I'll find my way, and I too will lend you a hand when you need one. Sometimes I get so down, I feel like this is the end. Like there's no way in hell I can get over this mountain. The sun has come out beyond the shadow of my doubt. I am walking on this earth stronger than ever. There was a time I believed there'd be no money for me. There was a time I believed there'd be no money. I feel rich today, today. Thanks to your help, I'll find my way. And I too will lend you a hand when you need one. Sometimes I get so down, I feel like this is the end. Like there's no way in hell I can get over this mountain. The sun has come out beyond the shadow of my doubt. I am walking on this earth stronger than ever. There was a time I believed there'd be no peace for me. There was a time I believed there'd be no peace. I feel peace today. Thanks to your help, I'll find my way. And I too will lend you a hand when you need one. Sometimes I get so down, I feel like this is the end. Like there's no way in hell I can get over this mountain. The sun has come out beyond the shadow of my doubt. I am walking on this earth stronger than ever. I am walking on this earth stronger than ever. I am walking on this earth stronger than ever.
And Mike made an announcement about the Waking Up in 5D class, which is women that meet in person. We can have up to 10, and I've had 3 drop out because of just being worried about being around other people. So if you want to join it, it's okay if you can't catch up to the reading where we are, but it's a really powerful group. And you can register by calling the office between 10 and 2 Tuesday and Wednesday, or you can email us at info@unityofboulder.com, and we'll get you registered. It's free to register at this phase, and it's $10 per week. So if you want to be part of it, it's this Thursday at 6 p.m. All right, let's all rise and close with peace on earth.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be with God as creator. Family all are we. Let me walk with my family in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
I want you to feel the love of God in everything that you're doing, being, seeing, and saying. Love you.